I'll call the meeting to order. Oops, I gotta go out and get my mask.
I don't think we're properly distanced.
Yeah. Not properly distanced, but I suspect we have a few observations. Okay. Okay. The minutes from the June meeting.
I didn't see anything.
We didn't say any problem.
Yeah. Motion to accept as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Anyone opposed?
Who seconded?
No. Charlotte. Sorry. Okay. And I don't see, unless with Quentin's dubious status, we do have a public hearing. So you got a comment. We're gonna get my only comment is 5.1 shouldn't be on the agenda. No. The chair does not acknowledge that things. Okay, so do we want to get into old business?
We do not.
Okay, so that brings us to Quentin.
So can the folks who are watching virtually see us?
Well, we're
Okay.
in the right-hand picture, upper right-hand corner.
I can see you. I just want to make sure, because I thought
Diana's not.
it seems like I can share the agenda, or I can just sort of keep it, because I'm not sure how to do it any other way, but yeah, so let's,
Well, we have printed agendas.
okay, so I just wanted, we can definitely do that if I need.
Yeah, we want to reference something.
And I can share the screen, I think, too. I'm sort of just getting used to this hybrid thing.
So how do we thank Quentin for half a century? No, I haven't been on this group for that long. Right? Well, it depends. Jim, Vicky, and you guys are the people who've been here longer than I have. Yeah, but
You've been here a significant amount of time, because I've been with the town for 22 years, lived here for 24 years, and you were like
not on this committee. Well, I guess.
you were.
No, I'm
you're
different.
way back, so it's one of the yeah.
If businesses can count back their heritage to the first thing they absorbed, centuries ago, we can count back to the Conservation Commission.
No,
Well,
I mean, I looked this up,
Yeah.
and Quentin was appointed to the committee in 1994.
94.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
However, there is no record of him attending the meeting until 1998. I don't know if that's because of a problem with the secretary, which would have been myself, or if you were just plain hard to get. I don't know.
What I remember is buying a rather small laptop for my sabbatical in '93. And I remember using that to take the minutes. And since our minutes often echoed the Conservation Commission minutes, it was quite easy. A lot of overlap, which I got severely criticized. Not good news. If it's the same, it's the same. Why should I have to report it differently? But look, thank you very much. No, thank you.
Well, thank
No,
you.
yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you.
thanks. Again, there's three of you have been here a lot longer.
Not much. Not much. I think Jim has been with the committee a long.
Well, I guess I'm the oldest one ever to serve. Yeah. I'll pass that over to Vicky in 2 or 3 years. Yeah, well, let's see. We got spun off from Parks Advisory. We got spun off from Conservation.
Yeah.
And then we spun off the Agriculture Committee.
Okay, yeah, because I know there was
Yeah.
more committees and then.
So our heritage is all conservation.
I will share my first feelings on that if you'd like. Because, Conservation Committee, I thought immediately of land conservation, which I was very interested in. And then dear Byron James spun off, I thought it was the Open Space Committee.
No, it was parks first.
No.
It was open
No,
space.
it wasn't. Parks, well, the parks, there was actually a parks commission or committee
Committee.
since the sixties, actually in the fifties, but. we don't know that anymore. And so it had various forms. At times it was combined with the Recreation Commission, at times, then they had to get a divorce. And, I mean, it was just, it went back and forth. But finally, the Parks Advisory Committee was appointed in 1980. And at that time, the only real open space acquisition was additions to Schoolhouse Brook Park. And that was the town's park initiative. That was the only initiative. So that, of course, continued into the 80s, and a lot of the major acquisitions were made in the 70s and 80s. But it was really Chuck Vincenhaler from the Conservation Commission who said, hey, we have other things that are important. Looking back at all the open space priorities in the previous town plans, he said, there's this whole list of things that we're not addressing by working on Schoolhouse Brook Park. And at that time, Greenwich had formed an open space preservation committee, and he thought that Mansfield should try to do something like that. So it really came from the Conservation Commission.
That I knew, but I remember about Byron.
And Byron was involved as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Escaping Conservation Commission, leaving me there by myself. So I had to learn all about water and things like that.
That's right, because that was one of your big jobs, was to take care of that. So.
So he left me on parks, but
That's right.
he left me on parks.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, we owe a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
We do. I mean, it really has been a team effort, really from 1966, when the Conservation Commission created the first open space plan for the town. And since then, a lot of people have helped me. And you have been part of the plan.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
But again, the people on the Conservation Commission before me, I went through some of the minutes and 66. I guess first it was called to order the first meeting by Dan Kraft, who was our first selectman and lived right next to us. And very soon after, they had somebody from the Madison, I think, Historic Trust come to discuss this historic and conservation trust. And a year later, the commission, together with the Historical Society, formed Joshua's Trust. Yeah, so they. And someone asked me who wrote Public Act 490 on the committee, and his name was Russell.
George Russell.
George, yeah.
Oh, he authored that?
Yeah, he was the principal author of that.
Yeah.
And then Art Rock and I both came on the Conservation Commission in 72. And of course, our Art went on to presumably save Long Island Sound and become commissioner of the DEP. So thank you for including me. Now can I go home?
I want to thank you. You've been, you really have been a big champion of so many things for the town of Mansfield. You have been a huge supporter of me and my work, and you've been, you're not afraid to call me out when you think that something is wrong. But you've been right there, and you've been really, I always know that it's coming from the heart, and that you, whatever you, if you're
say something dumb, but I mean it.
Well, you mean it, but you also, I also know that you're there to kind of protect the resource. And sometimes, you know, and so I really appreciated that.
What she doesn't appreciate is how much I admired this sweet young thing that came on the conservation commission. When was that?
Oh my goodness, that was 2000 or 1990. We came here in 1999. I had my babies. My youngest was 4 months old, and I decided to volunteer to kind of get out of the house.
Look at you now.
I know.
So you got out of the house, do a great job.
Can't get back into that.
No time.
So
Yeah, actually, I would qualify Quentin as a great mentor.
yes,
Thank you very much. Item next is.
Oh, come on. And this is typical of Quinn,
I know.
constantly moving the agenda forward. Why? Because you
got
wanted to go home and watch a Yukon basketball.
And we so appreciate that. Quentin.
Yes. Quentin, I want to thank you for being willing to serve on this committee as a representative of the Conservation Commission, especially since our meeting was usually the night before the Conservation Commission meeting, which met 2 nights in a row, which is another reason why I know we were very interested in adjourning our meeting. But I really appreciate your dedication in.
Thank you, Vicky. Which brings to mind a hike Vicky and I took on the Goldschneider property on Codfish Falls Road. He is now possibly mentally deficient. A beautiful piece of land, 2 town rights of way coming in from the Leach Road, adjacent to town-owned right of way at the end of the Leach town conservation at the end of the Leach Road, adjacent to the Guyette's open space, and maybe as far up as Devereaux. I'm not sure about that. From a high school classmate of his, I have a phone number through which to contact his son at least, because he and wife are living with his son now. I just keep putting it off as it's a good situation.
Yeah.
He's kind of we always get along okay, but kind of a rough ex-Summers prison guard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he was very hard to get he was very hard to get a sense of what he was really thinking and trying to influence his thinking that his land should be preserved.
well, he wanted $1 million for it.
Yeah.
He and I walked it, and it's a lovely.
Yeah.
He said also has the remains of an old mill dam and some other
Yeah.
stuff. No, he gave me permission to trespass once, which I suspect he doesn't remember, so I've walked parts of it since.
So thank you. Quentin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's like October.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pull up the agenda because I want just to,
Okay.
I didn't print it off for you, so,
October.
so
Are you
we've got,
sharing your screen so Miranda and
I'm not, but I will.
I mean, I have the agenda, so I can follow along on this end.
So, and you
Yeah,
can put.
Same with me, so I'm gonna stop my video and I'll just
Okay.
follow along on the.
Great,
Yeah.
so we've got quite a few offerings, which is great. We had the Eagleville guided paddle last Sunday, which was great. It was done by Hillary Kenyon, who's a limnologist and a lake specialist with Northeast Aquatic Research. And we were joined by folks from Coventry, including Eric Thomas and Eric Trott and their wetlands agent. So that was great. pulled up a little water chestnut, saw some fanwort, and we are
Where'd you
completing.
get the water chestnut?
Yep, they get water.
Where?
Oh, where, there's a bunch of little populations right in that lake, yeah. Yeah,
It's
So-
it's in Hanson's Pond now too.
yeah, it's pretty much, and it's really.
Yeah, we knew Hanson's Pond. But
So we will be doing this long-term comprehensive management strategy for the lake, and that should be done shortly. And that's going to guide how, the future treatments, and we're going to be doing some signage. So this guided paddle was part of that grant to kind of just do some outreach about that. So for October, we've got Chris Kiefner is going to be doing a walk at the adventure park, see the forest, the trees, just about woodland management. We've got our famous Tom and Sue doing over in the meadow and fall at Bicentennial Pond. And then there's a 250-year celebration over at Mountain Dairy. So, and
we got a 50-foot.
what is that?
yeah, we got 50 foot down in
It's
the
down at the
lower
bottom
left.
there.
Yeah,
And then the lower right, we've got
Oh, there we go. Right.
Bicentennial Pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there. I knew you had three.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did the pollination walk that we did in August.
How'd they go?
We had three extremely enthusiastic people, and we spent literally the whole
Oh,
afternoon
that's great.
going back
Thank
and
you for
forth
doing that.
and
I
looking.
didn't get
It
a
was,
chance to publicize.
it
that so much.
was, one couple was a couple that had done our,
California.
yeah, from California, that had done our tracking thing last January. And they're new to the area, and, they didn't know the wildflowers, and so we did a big focus on the wildflowers and the bees were very cooperative, and the wildflowers were very cooperative, so we just spent the whole afternoon, the three people and us out taking pictures and identifying plants and identifying, well, not necessarily identifying bees, but looking at
Yeah.
bees. Saying, "Hey, bees, how you doing?"
We could use an expert on bumblebees. though.
Oh, my goodness, there's so many bumblebees.
yeah.
The smaller bees, I've got some background with,
Yeah.
but the bumblebees are really tough. And then we have a fly that was about that big,
It looks like
and
a
it's a
bumblebee.
bumblebee mimic.
Yeah,
And one of these days I have to go through the fly book and find out what it was.
so possibly some of those mimic flies have ended up put in university collections as bees,
Oh, I'm sure.
It's
I'm sure.
possible.
you know.
Because the only reason that we knew this guy was a fly is I got a really good picture of his wing, and there's
Yeah,
very obviously a single
Two
wing.
wings, yeah.
We have carpenter bees as well.
Oh, yeah, those are good. We've seen some of those actually down in the meadow too.
And its behavior was unbee-like.
Yeah.
It was with the fly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Unbee-like.
but we, the normal ordinary bumblebees, you kind of get an image of what they look like, and then when you throw an oddball in, we found what we've termed fuzzy bumblebee, who had fangs, and it's so cute because they curl down, they lined up in a row across the top of his head, and they curl down over his eyes, and he looks like he just came from the spa. I mean, he's his little bangs, he's just hilarious. And then there's one that has an orange belt.
And we
It's all
got that,
yellow.
what, twice, I think.
Yeah, that has electric orange fur in one stripe around the middle of him. So we have some very, our kind of pets.
Do you have good pictures?
Oh,
Pretty good, yeah. I have really good pictures of my guy with the bangs, because I just find it so hilarious.
So it looks like we have a good fall coming up, and then the winter programming is due, and Michael Soar is just going to do a guided snowshoe or hike in Swift Park, and soon Tom are going to do the
Tracking.
the tracking.
Yeah. We'll do it again.
We get a crowd every time for it, so.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
great, people love it.
as long as people keep signing up, we'll keep doing it.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's really great. So that's what we have for programming.
Okay, good.
So we will not have any snow on
Right.
MLK weekend
Or
because
we'll have this much.
we'll have 6 feet, yeah.
We've canceled it for this much.
I have a question on the water chestnut. Is that spread by birds or,
I
Pretty well
think-
spread by birds.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because those spikes stick into
Yeah.
their beak.
Stick onto them,
Yeah.
and they drop them wherever. Miranda.
So Jennifer, I never got to follow up with you about trying to get together some kind of thing with the camera walk or anything like that, but still on the table for some point in time.
Okay, great, excellent. I mean, let's talk in the spring.
All right.
Programming will be due in January, so
All right,
or even before then.
sounds
So,
good.
you know, just think about it, think about what you'd like to do and let me know.
You're doing camera traps?
Well, so what I had in mind, I mean, I was trying to think about what I could contribute. My expertise is not in a lot of the smaller stuff that you see all the time on walks, unfortunately. Mammologist. So just trying to think of a way that maybe I could set out a camera in advance, take people out to check the cameras, check some of the photos there on the spot even, and show them how to set up a camera. So if they wanted to monitor wildlife on their own property and do some kind of thing like that.
We've probably got people even here and would like to do that.
And there's been up in Woodstock, Bette Zimmerman, or I think she's changed her name when she remarried, but they posted some cameras from their property to preserve property. So there's some stuff on the web from northeastern New England, northeastern Connecticut.
Yeah, there's a camera trapping project that actually happens right here in town every year as well, run by someone in the EEB department as part of a project that works all over the world now, that I do a branch of in Nyholman. But there's Aaron Kuperwitz at UConn actually does a project right here in Stores.
Yep.
And the students that I work with go out and do it every year, and we've had bobcats and stuff right on campus. So
Very cool. Yeah.
so that brings us to development stuff.
Yes,
I like that stuff.
so I think I will share my screen for this one just because. Let's see. That way we can all be looking at the same thing. So lots going on here in Mansfield. And I've been trying to maintain this story map just to kind of keep everyone in the loop. So I encourage everyone to look at this from time to time, or to if you hear people that have questions about what's happening in Mansfield, they just direct them right to this website, which is right on the left-hand side of the planning website. So so far in September, we've had 4 pre-applications. The first one was for a multifamily development in Robin Chesmer's property. Let's see what way. And basically it's for learn how to use this thing a little bit. They're looking at 120 units consisting of 15 2-story 8-unit apartment buildings. So they are, they understand that they do have to preserve the prime ag soils. We did meet with them today. They're wondering about the 200-foot setback, so they may come in for a zone change. I have told them all about this property and the importance of this being an agricultural area, but it is zoned for multifamily housing, so it was bound to be developed at some point.
Yeah, one time it was industrial park.
Yeah.
No, not this part.
No,
Oh,
it was
um,
on the other
has-
side, yeah.
When they got the 35%, have they decided where that's going to be? What part of the
Yes,
property?
most likely it will be, so you can see where they're planning the development. I can put that here. So they're looking to put the development,
Which road is which, your Mansfield City on the right?
Mansfield City Road.
yeah,
Is that one that strawberry field used to be? No, Freedom Green is right across Mansfield City Road
Yeah.
from this.
yeah,
Oh,
this is,
okay.
yeah. So they're looking at doing the preservation within here,
Where it's green,
yes.
so would it be
So
at
they
the
get,
corner of Mansfield City Road?
yes, so they're not, you can see where they're proposing their development right here.
So they are saying part of that good field.
Yes, and then this, they do not even know what to do with this. They said, is there a land trust we could give this to? I talked about the possibility of like, seeing if there could be some sort of farmstead envelope, but I don't know if they could meet the 35%. So I did speak with them and gave them a history of the area, of, what has happened there, what people value in that area. The fact that just immediately north of them, there's 1,000 acres of preserved farmland. So, that's basically what we
Yeah.
can do from the planning and zoning.
As I was studying the plan, their road, the end of their road or driveway, however it be termed, comes very close to Eastern's parking lots, which has a shuttle bus to their campus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I would encourage them to try to get some type of, multi-use path, if I got the right buzzword.
Yeah, they're gonna have to, we actually spoke about that today, and, they will be required to do some sort of sidewalk, and
Yeah.
they didn't want to remove stone walls. And, what we're doing with the standard is there was a portion of that property upon your suggestion that they, if they were to go right along the road, they would have had to
Yeah.
cross a big wetlands if we're gonna go in the interior a little bit. So we said, to
Yeah.
come up with a flexible plan, and if, they need it, it's right now it's zoned for 2.5 stories. If they need 3 stories, but they can make it more compact. Or if they need to look at these setbacks,
Yeah,
so,
well, I was thinking from the end of their driveway
yeah,
into the parking lot and shuttle bus.
the bus stop for Eastern's.
I don't know exactly where the bus stop is.
Yeah.
But just they could get to their pavement.
Yeah,
Who is going to own the 35%?
well, that's just it. It has to be in a conservation easement, but, the way the regulations are written, they can own it, but they said they don't want to. If this particular development comes through, they're not interested in owning it, and so, I told them that we could work on.
Because it would be nice if we could go back to a farming use,
Mhm.
because it's good land.
Yeah,
Yes,
So,
excellent.
and water, surface water there
right.
this past summer. That would have been very valuable. to somebody.
Yes.
No,
So let's see. So that's that one. I'm just going to kind of go through. That's some of the,
And I want to point out that that is absolutely unrelated architecturally to anything in the area.
yeah.
Anywhere.
It needs to look like Freedom Green.
I did tell them about, yes, we had that conversation today. Yeah. I know. So now, what do I do here? I go. See here. Oops, all right, just bear with me 1 second. Let's see if I can do it this way. I don't have to go through all of this, but basically the point is I wanted you. Which one is still?
Third one. It must be dense, but why does it need to look like Freedom Green instead?
Well, I'm just saying, because it's very urban, the architecture is very urban. Whereas Freedom Green is more open, low buildings.
I don't know that it's gonna
That-
look like Freedom
that-
Green, but I did, I did.
Well, I meant in trade,
I don't need
Yeah.
a copy of Freedom,
No.
but compatible with it, you know.
I had given them the example of the United
Oh, right.
Health
United
Buil-
Health.
building. an example, but you know. Okay, so share screen again. There we go. Okay. I don't think I want to spend going through all of this, but there's 2 properties on Middle Turnpike. This one, right, I'll open that up. This is the property, so this is Cedar Swamp Road, and here's the golf course, and this is a former Christmas tree farm, and that this is zoned REM 90.
Okay, yeah.
But in the, on the future land use map in the POCD, it is designated for compact residential. However, we don't have a compact residential zone, so they were probably going to apply the design multifamily residence zone because they can meet those criteria. And the same developer is interested in doing another development of one building on the adjacent parcel, and that is zoned PB3, which is Plan Business 3, and that's the 4 corners. So the same as,
Isn't it 4 stories?
yeah, it can be 4 stories, and it can be mixed use. So
I mean, to me, that's going to be a sore thumb.
Yeah,
Yeah, the only place that would fit in is right on Yukon campus, so that's it.
Or next to the standard. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's not, makes sense.
do this, will that work? Okay. All right, let's see here. Then the next, we have an inland wetlands application for a mixed-use development at 4 corners. It's to redevelop a portion of the Toast and Hops 44 property. And they're looking at about 116 units there, and they'll have some commercial there as well.
What is this? There's a reference to the standard.
The standard is the development is at the Willards Holiday Mall.
Okay, that's
that
called
there-
the
It's
standard.
now called the standard at 4 corners. Yep.
Okay.
I mentioned it before, nobody seems to remember. On the one behind the hops.
Yes, that has,
All right, we had an abatement order from the DEP, which was used as an excuse by some people to get the sewers in place many years later.
sorry.
And we had 2 gas stations, Kathy John's, and the trailer park that might have had 20 or 30 trailers on their septic system.
Yeah.
And the people doing the standard knew nothing about where that might have been. Have you asked these people?
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
they have the sewage place located?
Yes, and they're going to be at the Conservation Commission tomorrow night, but you won't be there. But I have made them aware of the 2 gas stations, and
What did they say about the septic system?
they,
Which would have been on their property?
exactly. So they're going to have to deal with basically the whole site is fill, and so what they're proposing to fill quite a few wetlands, and then they're going to be they're proposing to create this kind of perched wetland. So we're still in peer review, and I think they have a lot of things to overcome there. So it's going to be interesting.
Wetlands are not likely to be sustainable.
What is a perched wetland?
So my understanding is that it's like created from a perched water table. So they're going to be, yeah, I have to.
you know, I associate them with the glacier dropped a lot of clay and a hard block of
Yeah.
ice to compact it.
Yep,
And
and
it
then-
doesn't drain, you know.
So they have a lot of work to do on the application, and they want to come before the Conservation Commission tomorrow night. I said, fine, but it's not the way I usually like to have applications go forward. I like to have them all buttoned up with their peer review back and forth, and that hasn't been the case. So
Yeah, we had one of those in the neighborhood where I grew up, a couple of miles out, where the dug well, they decided to make it deeper and drilled a drain through the hard pan.
Oops. And all the water, it's like pulling out the plug.
So recently we've done there has, an applicant came in and they established a mixed-use transitional district. And that is to be, there are 4 or 5 properties on the future land use map of the POCD that are supposed to be mixed-use transitional, so that they were intended when we did the POCD not to be as dense as, say, that like commercial area in Four Corners. So some of those, the parcels include the parcel immediately west of Timber Drive and across from the Standard at Four Corners. The property that is kind of like a warehouse that used to be Nature's Marijuana, that property is mixed use transition. The property immediately east of Cumberland Farms. And then there's a property immediately north of Riverview Road down in southern Mansfield. And then, for example, if Yukon didn't own the apartments over there, I guess, that would be mixed-use center transitional as well. So, so this zone, which you were able to review briefly, and we did have Tyke policy and planning and policy assist with the review of that, is designed for those, and it's a little bit of a different kind of zoning regulation. It's a form-based code, so it's very prescriptive. So the zone hasn't been applied. There's just these rules that are out there, and that you have to meet certain criteria in order to apply the zone. And then, so the folks that own or have an option on the property immediately, I think it's west of Timber Drive, are going to be coming in to apply that zone, and that will be received by Planning and Zoning Commission on October 3rd, supposedly, almost. Domino's is moving to Four Corners in this building. Their special permit was approved on August 1st. And then we have a new chiropractor office expansion down on 195. And then Champagne Motors down on 195. This isn't the correct picture. I wasn't able to update that. The correct picture is there. Why? It's not working yet. Anyways, they're going to be doing a restaurant with a drive-through, another restaurant, and then a professional office use. So they'll demolish a portion of the Champagne Motors and then add these uses there.
That's interesting.
I was looking at that, and it doesn't seem feasible to clean up some of the multiple points of conflict that are along 195 there. It's all these driveways coming.
Yeah,
But
that's going to be, that's their challenge in their traffic study. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a state problem.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But it initiates in the design of where the driveways come out.
That was one of the big things there. They initially had proposed 2 drive-throughs, 1 restaurant and 1 retail, and their traffic and circulation and parking was just kind of crazy. So they,
Well, I think we might want to ask the state to look at that whole stretch of 195. Because there's a lot of issues when you drive through there.
There's been a lot of rear-end accidents there.
I think they are studying it. Jared July knows more about this than I do, but
that's just.
there was this Southern Gateway study that was done, and they looked at that in terms of traffic patterns, and there are some improvements that need to be made. In elementary school, I'm sure you all have heard of that.
No.
Hopefully it will open in early 2023.
Early 2023 now?
And the adventures of the 2 remaining elementary schools. I was just in Goodwin today. Oh my
I
goodness.
know.
Let's
So the
triple all grade levels
I
in
know.
that school. It's hilarious.
It's a lot for these teachers. The Standard hopes to break ground sometime in November. We're working with them on their zoning permit, which has been, they have a lot of different things that are required when the special permit was approved. So they just came to planning and zoning to review their excavation and grading criteria, and then also they have to do an affirmative fair housing marketing plan. So for affordable housing, and then the golf course property, we haven't heard from them lately, but they, we're dealing with Chuck Lee on this other property, which is immediately west of Timber Drive. So he's still around.
The same,
So it's the same person?
the same real estate investment trust has the property across from Tony's. Too.
Right, so Chuck Lee, who is like part of this real estate investment trust, BPAS, and they go, or CMC, he owns all of these properties in here, and then he owns, I think, is it this one, Jim?
I think so.
Yeah, he owns that one. And then he is the applicant for the property that is immediately west of Timber Drive. So I think he must have an option.
The one thing I'll point out to you is, I talked about a route for a bike path over to Renwood. There is on that last property he has up there, one of those old stone slab stream crossings,
Okay,
which would be a much better route, but was off the property that was in for consideration.
right. So we'll have to, when they come back in, we have to just
Yeah.
remember that, because all of this will be referred to you all.
Yeah, my point
We're
is,
not there yet.
my point is what I proposed, if all the properties come in, let's look at it again,
Yeah, definitely. And then I think, that was one that they came in, that was the Buckholz property, but that they are not interested because they had too many hurdles to overcome by doing that. So that, so these are just everything from way back when. So that's it. Just that.
Okay, speaking of development proposals, where does UConn's proposal to develop redevelop the apartments on South Aurora Road, where does that stand?
They are in the
process. A letter asking for an EIE.
Yep, they are in the process of doing an EIE. I believe if you went to the Board of Trustees minutes from last Tuesday, it was on their agenda for approval, so it's gonna be interesting to see what they said. I have not.
They got announced a date, I think. I thought I saw a date for when they were going to start that.
Demolish, right?
Oh, yeah.
They,
Okay, that we.
yes,
I
so,
wanted to start with that.
yes, so what they are planning to demolish it very soon.
I know.
Yeah,
And that has consequences for us.
the Mustang.
Yes, because you won't be able to
Because
park
of
in
that.
places.
Yeah,
Right.
because they want to close the
So-
Moss Sanctuary, and
I did speak with them about that, and I said, for the construction, I said it would be great if we could maintain some sort of access. I mean, like for in New York, you can go through a tunnel with and access the place. It seems like we should be able to do that. But so they said that they would look at it, and I gave them the conservation restriction and the deed that says that we have the right to 6 parking spots and access from Brookside Road or whatever they're gonna call it in the future. So they know, I've told them, and during construction though, they're like, oh, we don't want to have any liability and hazard. And I said, well, yeah, so during construction, that may not work, but they are very familiar. Robert Corbett, Laura Crooks, I told them all. So
maybe we get them to extend the sidewalk to Birchwood from Liberty Bank.
yeah, I don't think UConn would do that.
Well, it would provide a walking access
Yes,
that they're taking away otherwise.
for
Well,
somebody who lives on Hanks Hill
they
Road.
know that they're not gonna take it away permanently, that they cannot. Yeah, so this would just be during construction.
One that I had was, I think this committee has to do something about this, and we have to provide a solution to this problem during the construction. And I think there are 2 alternatives. One is we can go scout out a way to circumvent this area. Let's go see if it's, I mean, there's wetland when you drop over
Yeah.
the edge.
Yeah.
But is it possible to walk around the edge? Set up some kind of designation that no construction beyond this point, no public access beyond this.
Yeah,
point?
you could cut the corner.
Yeah,
I usually come across, I usually use the old, where the old Hanks Hill Road comes out down the hill. South Eagleville continues across there as a historic road, and that's the route I usually use in there. I think you could stay into the woods.
Which is the east or west side of the property.
If you're crossing 195.
Yeah. So it's right there.
There's a section that comes in very close to the pump station.
So this right here, yeah, so there could be something in here, because they've committed to keep their development within the interior of this
Yeah.
circuit, this
Okay.
route, which they call Brookside Road.
Well, I think Vicky's right. I think if we can sign something from that intersection that will lead people around and just.
Yeah.
It would be simple enough for them to put up some construction fence that would separate their
Yeah.
construction zone
Okay.
from what we identify as a path.
There's what's now a driveway that comes down from about where the S is. No, I guess it's a little further up. There's a, and then see that brown area
Yeah,
that's going out to the sidewalk.
oh, right
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah.
The pump station.
So
Yeah.
this area may be redeveloped.
Yeah, but further down, almost at the pump station.
Which is,
That's right.
Yeah,
so I mean, I can
Yeah.
definitely suggest that when they are,
Yeah.
kind of that, because I pushed back.
Yeah.
And also we will be making comments during the EIE.
yeah.
So that's something we can state loudly and clearly.
But I think regardless of whether they develop that corner area, I think for the duration, we should push them to support some sort of access
Access, yeah.
from the intersection of South Eagleville and 195.
Yeah, and
Because that serves people who are primarily associated and clients of the university.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
and
So it should be that they support their community.
yeah, and I would make the assumption that without knowing the piping plans, that pump station serves this building and a lot of Eastwood and Westwood. So I would assume they're not going to disturb that.
Well, this brings up another problem that we hope the university's forgotten about. But they went through, I think even in EIE, but certainly through the DEP for wetlands application. For a road to parallel Eastwood that would be coming out right about here.
Along the old power right away.
Yeah, it's coming right,
Right, well,
There.
they're just next to Eastwood Road properties.
Yeah, that little, yeah.
Yeah.
I think actually,
And that could be made to go right into this place if they wanted.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's an old power line right away.
With no power line.
Because I know Cooley, Luann Cooley, and John Cooley back up to it.
Yeah.
But Just because it's a power line right away, doesn't mean it's a right away for something else. We've run into that with rail trail conversion. Sometimes you can't make a trail because the right of way is for a railroad.
But in this case, they pretty much cleared permission to bring their road down.
Okay, I think that UConn deed it fee simple ownership on that.
on this,
Yeah.
oh yeah, oh, this is definitely owned by UConn.
Yeah.
Yep, so
Yeah.
I guess I'll just say, so, because we could spend hours talking about all
Yeah, I
this,
mean,
and,
I just,
but
Yeah.
we definitely need to put that, a pause, put a, whatever, put that aside, and when the EIE comes out, talk about that, but in the meantime, during construction, or during, whatever, demolition, I can talk with them about that, and if you all, as you're doing your walking,
I think
Yeah.
we need to
Wanna
go
just-
out and visit the site. That was my next
so should,
Yeah.
suggestion. I think we need a field trip so that you can say that the committee has looked
Yeah.
at this and this is our recommendation.
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So when we talk
Yeah,
about, because we'll
okay,
need
we've
one for
got-
the James
Well,
property,
that's, I was thinking with the combined.
yeah,
because I know that far.
Yeah.
and in the meantime, feel free to go out there and look.
Yeah. I'll take notes next time I walk around the pond.
Yeah.
Quick walk is Clinton Woods, if I have more time. Moss Sanctuary. Okay, so that brings us to James property. Okay, where you mentioned on the agenda, I assume we don't have to go into
No,
executive
because
session.
it's their, I mean, it's pretty, they want to donate it, and I'm not sure anyone else would.
Where is this property?
That's a good question. We went.
answer.
Yeah, Jim has figured it out. Jim had, and I think the members of the committee.
Vicky found a
Not
wonderful
anything?
map. Ken and Charlotte found a lot of pipes driven in the ground.
It borders the Westbrook Park and then it touches onto, the Joshua's track, that, it does, that.
There's a touch corner.
It's a in corner in Schoolhouse Brook. Oh, what line?
Oh, okay, that corner is actually kind of
Jennifer, can you bring up the Schoolhouse Brook
in
map?
that.
Yeah,
That's probably the best one
Yes,
to
that
see.
is.
Is that Joshua's back country?
Yeah, that,
Yeah,
you could get into there, that area from Joshua's Babcock and the way they've got the trails mapped, I don't think it's right. It's pretty cool. But it's.
oops,
yeah. Is there, can I get the, that,
yeah,
The-
the green one.
no, yeah, but the, layer, because
Do you want,
didn't Yukon map the Schoolhouse Brook trails?
do you want me to pull this up?
No,
right
no,
now?
just pull up the regular map, the
trail
park map,
park From the,
yeah,
it's in the,
Yeah.
trail. guide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops.
and go there.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be there. Yeah,
That-
okay,
Yeah.
because that's probably the best one to answer the questions
Let
about.
me share screen
yeah.
for these guys.
Yeah. Mm. Mm. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But this mouse is not my favorite. No, there we go.
You know, the Mansfield Municipal Building was supposed to go there.
Yeah,
That's the reason the town bought it.
yeah.
Joe Gill.
Can you circle the spot with your mouse there so
Yeah,
that people can?
people know where it is.
It's in here, right?
No, it's that notch.
It's the little-
Right
Yeah,
there, right
yeah.
there.
It's that little notch. And at one time, there was a concept. You know, you
Yeah,
remember
I
all the
will.
details.
Okay. This property has been in the James family at least as far back as 1900. And my guess is it goes farther back. I just said this is enough for now. And there is supposed to be information about the James family at the Historical Society, but I did not want to approach them until we had discussed this and there was some official reason to talk to them. It has passed down through at least 6 generations of the James family. When
Nathan James owned the property, he granted a conservation easement to the town
Mhm.
for recreational purposes, that it could be used for the same purposes as the park.
Okay,
That was in 1989, and it was to last for 10 years. Which would be 1999. However, in 1997, Nathan turned the property over to his son James. And James at that time agreed to extend this easement another 10 years from 1999 to 2009.
okay,
At that point, it ended.
Okay.
And the town did not pursue it, they did not pursue it. So their original intent was to conserve this property
okay,
and essentially have it become part of the park,
Yeah.
at least in use anyway.
great.
So I think that we have a pretty good basis for recommending that this be added to the park.
Mhm.
They no longer want to own it. John, who had granted the last easement, has passed away. It's now in his estate. And they would like to settle his estate. And that's why they have initially went to Joshua's trust.
Right,
And Joshua's trust, of course, said, well, it's not adjacent to Barrow's property.
right.
It makes more sense for it to be part of Schoolhouse Park, especially since it's surrounded on three sides by the park.
Yeah.
So,
Good thing.
so that was how it came to you, Jennifer.
So I guess, just the next steps, because I think, I think it's just a matter of going through the administrative steps.
Yeah.
And I think it's a done deal, we can acquire this, but I think, I did speak with the James family a while back, and they want to walk it all together. So we need to arrange for that. But at the time, we wanted to make sure we knew how to
Right.
take
Yeah.
them to it, because we weren't quite sure.
Sure.
So it sounds like you all did that due diligence,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah. What happened there was Vicky found 1965 survey of the Barrels property
Wow.
that is part of,
Which
And-
surrounds the three.
and,
sides.
and the surveyor who did that noted on his plot plan and installed pipes
Hard to
Pins.
find.
that are like inch in diameter and come out of the ground like 2 feet.
Oh,
He did his job right.
easy to find.
So
No.
then we'll get going.
But you know it when you found it.
Yeah.
We need to take the James family out there. We then need, so they haven't marked the other corners of the James property, right?
There is only one corner that is not marked.
Okay, so would we have to hire someone to help us find that? Because we're gonna need a Schedule A, like a description.
We could go look for that corner.
Yeah,
We could
well,
triangulate it off
we
the-
know within a
the
few
other
feet
side.
where it is.
Okay,
The thing is,
In terms of a legal transfer, you might need to do something,
yeah,
but in terms of a visit to the property,
no.
I
yeah.
think we can
Okay.
move forward with that.
So I guess what we would do is that we take them out there, then you guys would write your recommendation. I think maybe at this meeting, if someone can authorize me, Vicky's done a million of these, I don't know if you're comfortable doing a million and one.
I'm getting out of practice.
And then what I would really need, just to move this forward, is I can give you a draft of an agenda item summary that I've given to the council over and over for these types of things. And then we just keep this moving.
Yeah.
I'll have to talk with our attorney, and if I can just give him, a basic description, and then we can, I may be able to get Derek, someone out there from engineering, but it may have to be a surveyor for the.
Well, if it's gonna be for, the real question, that backs up, the abutter is the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Glenn has an A2 survey.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and the one done in 75 is the equivalent of an A2 survey with all the pipes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So as long as we can figure out legally how to describe what we're transferring, then we're good.
Yeah.
You could
So
do that today.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we just need to make sure that someone can do up a legal description.
Yeah.
So that just has to be documented, how it meets the criteria, and boom, we just get it done.
Okay.
If we can get,
And you write up. What playing on the assessor's map, it would turn that inside corner out almost 600 feet, if I remember correctly. It was a considerable distance for the 6 acres.
so it's plus or minus 6 acres?
Yeah.
Great, awesome. And does it like make it smoother? I like it when.
Well, it actually comes out.
Now.
Jim the mouse.
Okay,
Jim, why don't you take the mouse and
Okay, the show.
okay. This,
We use the mouse so everybody can see.
well, this is Schoolhouse Road Park, and it comes out. It comes out to, it will bring it out to about where the Nipmunk Trail comes down.
Oh, okay.
Let's
See
see,
where that is.
here, it'll bring it out to about here.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's like a little
One
Yeah.
of the corners.
slightly
is
askew rectangle.
on the- Practically on the Nipmuc Trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And,
Because
it's,
what has happened here is both the Schoolhouse Brook trails and the Nipmuc going through there were routed to stay off the property that there wasn't ownership to.
You can see how the trail, the bird
Right.
loop trail sort
Yeah.
of goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Nipmuc Trail goes on it?
No,
No.
No,
just
Nipmuc
first
Trail.
the line,
Okay,
you know.
but if we owned it, we could relocate the Nipmuc onto town land.
I wouldn't see any
And they've
need
actually
to.
talked about that, I believe. Moving the month just.
Well, if we need to.
Yeah, that's the John.
Uh,
Jenkins. But the big thing is, it's been historically part of the park, and it's, you know,
Ecologically, it's
Yeah, I can
indistinguishable.
imagine.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Where, so we have to figure out when to do a field trip.
yeah, and you're gonna need, and we're ready to do a field trip with the owners to invite them.
Well, I think, are you guys comfortable taking them out? Do
Yeah.
you know where the property
Yeah.
is? Okay.
Okay.
Depends on how much we want to walk through the woods.
Yeah, what's the easiest way to get there through? the rail trail?
Would we come across Oak Ridge Trail?
I mean, park at the parking lot on Clover Mill Road
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and then walk around
Around the-
Harris Pond and.
Oak Ridge would be the easiest.
yeah, because that map is a little distorted. That corner of the property that's not part of the park is probably within 50 feet
Yeah. you
of
can see
the
corner.
trail junction. If you know where to look, you can see the pipe.
So I could do like probably either. I might be able to do the first that weekend if it's on a weekend, or I could do the 15th.
I would prefer the 15th.
Okay, so that, do Saturday or Sunday work best? I think
There
maybe
we
Sunday.
go.
Sorry,
I don't have it down.
I can't
Back,
remember.
way back.
Yeah.
It doesn't
no,
matter. We'll
okay.
figure it out.
Okay, so, because I know you guys, you may have some, so the weekend of the 15th or 16th, maybe Sunday, the 16th? At our normal, like, 1 o'clock.
That may depend on the James availability on
Yeah.
a long
Yeah.
weekend.
What
That's a-
month? I didn't hear.
It may depend on the James family's availability. It's actually, the long weekend is
Oh, the long
The week
weekend.
before. Yeah.
Miranda, Susan.
So Miranda, would you be here on the 16th?
I can't hear what month you keep saying.
October,
October 16th?
yeah,
Let me check. October 16th, I think I could do.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What time?
So shall we say 1:30?
Yeah. that would-
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's dependent upon the,
Yes.
Yeah.
on James family.
So
We'll just see when we're doing our walks. Then I'll have it all written down.
So where are they coming from?
There are, I believe there are some in the area.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
I think like in southern, like southwestern Connecticut.
Oh,
Not
Thanks.
all right.
flying in from Wisconsin or anything.
No,
And you say Joshua's Trust doesn't want it.
no.
And let me remind you, when we had a chance to have a trail from Wetton Woods, Holly Lane to Torrey, to the Nipmuc Trail. UConn was trying to give the land away, and they tried Joshua's Trust first. And it would have been ideal for the town. They went before the town council. And they just said, well, if Joshua's Trust doesn't want it, we don't want it. And so we lost out on a nice.
The Ray Wilson.
We lost out on a nice trail connection, and we're gonna, 2 houses crammed on a little knoll in the swamp.
Oh,
This one, John Hankins pointed out to them that it was a budded schoolhouse for park. And it has been historically functionally part of schoolhouse for park because of the easements.
Don't mention Joshua's Trust rejected it.
No.
No, that's.
Oh, no.
you're right.
We've already been sort of, John Hankins has sort of packaged it in a way. They really wanted to give it to Joshua's Trust, and he said, but he was very politic, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
doesn't abut Joshua's.
Correct,
Trust,
yeah.
you know,
He
just another way
pitched
to
it,
do
and
Yeah.
they seem to be happy.
And we're enthusiastic.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
great.
mean, and I think it's not like, oh, okay, you know, we'll take it. This, it has ledges.
Yeah,
It's sort of cool.
yeah.
One thing we need to do as part of this process is the open space evaluation criteria.
Yes.
And I have been looking at this, and I'm not sure if it applies to this property. Because it isn't, I'll explain. It's not historic, it is not wetland, it is not, you know, it's really in addition to the park. And
It's a connection, it's the connections.
It serves as a connection.
That's-
It buffers.
I mean, there just are things that have nothing to do with criteria. This is one of the ones that just.
Well, isn't there one about the budding reserve?
Or creating a connection.
There's one about creating connections, but
Yeah.
that's,
Probably the only one that fits. but-
Yeah.
I think that's really the one.
Yeah.
I mean, it preserves wildlife habitat, it preserves woodlands, but
Yeah.
that's really not the point here.
Yeah.
So if folks are comfortable, there could be a motion allowing, if you would feel comfortable, since whoever has studied this property the most and feels comfortable writing
Yeah.
this, and there will have to be sort of some sort of argument made about the criteria, but I think,
Well, and I
Yeah.
think the previous conservation easement history
yes,
is very important.
Right.
This is the intent.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just, it's an
So-
expansion.
And I think the concept of taking that interior intrusion and moving it out
Yeah.
is a strong argument for adding it to the park.
Yeah.
And then that was the argument we used for adding the Swanson property to the southwest corner. Because that was another example of where there was a lot of intrusion of private property into the park.
Okay, so we need a motion to
I believe we can-
to prepare a draft.
To authorize Vicky Weatherall to work with staff to prepare a draft.
I so move it.
I second that,
Second. Anybody opposed?
just speaking.
My lips are sealed.
So. Okay, and we already talked about a field trip, and that field trip, we should. Do we want to stop in that field trip at Mansfield Apartments, Moss Sanctuary? And look at things. I can scout that. And
If someone
come
could
up with
scout
some-
that out,
yeah,
if someone who's familiar, and even if, do we need a field trip, or can you
I don't
scout it
think
out
so.
and then show me?
that would work, yeah.
I think that's less, then we'd have to post it, all that
I
stuff.
think especially if we're coordinating with the James family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we don't want to have something
It'll
else
take
on
longer
that.
than it
Yeah,
needs to be. And then maybe you can put some nice flags, and if folks want to go look at it, they can.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
The less meetings we have to like post, and take minutes on, the better. It's like,
Okay, so that brings us to next regularly scheduled meeting.
No, we got 5.5.
the parts
The
are,
master plan.
yeah,
Oh,
so
the
I,
master plan. Yeah,
so just,
No.
I just want to give a brief update, because you guys will be involved. But the RFP went out. We received 2 proposals. The way Ken had made some good recommendations about calling this, so we called it, let's see, we called it a comprehensive financial sustainability strategy and master plan for Mansfield Parks and Recreation. So basically, there are 2 firms, one, and they both really specialize on community engagement and doing kind of an assessment. But ultimately, I think they're here to do an assessment of our resources, find out what the community needs, look at what is are the best practices that would be more from a active recreation perspective, and then look at our sites to see, you know, they'll do a trail assessment. They're going to make sure that they're going to do an ADA assessment. There'll be multiple users that will need to, you know, be included in this. And then, you know, ultimately they'll come up with a plan, and we have, through the ARPA funds, we got approximately $750,000. Some of it may have been moved to do some work at 70 acres already, but to do work on the parks, basically to do parks improvements. So that this plan will help us kind of prioritize and identify areas where we need to do things, help us identify grants, you know, all sorts of things. So they we're in the process of choosing this firm. There will be a lot of public outreach. This committee will be very involved with, especially the parks and trails side. So, so that's all. And I can, once we have, I'm sure you'll be getting more information from Jay or from me. And then, communications, the Aquatic update, I wanted to let you know, I sent you the judge's
Yeah.
decision, but that was upheld, so they
validated our procedures. Is
They-
basically how I read it.
yeah.
That's what I was relieved about.
So I've been in touch with the owner, and he has a few things to iron out with the purchase, but then he hopes to come in as soon as he can with a zoning permit to build it.
They're willing to do it. They're
Yeah.
not going to Ashford.
I think they are going to Ashford as well.
Oh, my God.
Yes, yeah, so we'll see what this is all about, but yeah. And then finally, communication, 2 communications, because I wrote so rudely, did not include Ken's editorial. I did copy it and send that to you all. Yep. But you want to speak? I'm so sorry. I asked Ken, and then I was doing the agenda so quickly, and I didn't include it. I did that.
She got in touch with me on Saturday.
You just have a few things on your plate.
I just a few.
Why is this Ken's editorial?
Because I
Ken.
raised it to her.
Ken, it's not, Ken didn't write it, but he wanted to bring it to the committee's attention.
And I think it raises something that just we need to discuss, and because it would affect town policies, it might be that this needs to be a recommendation to whoever makes the rules for the parks. But the point of this article is that some people who are differently mobile use motorized transportation that is very different from trail bikes. And the issue that comes to mind is if we word our restrictions on trail access wrong, we are excluding those people. And it's just something, I'm not exactly sure how we would do this, but I think it's something we need to be mindful of as we look at
Yeah,
how we develop our trails and who is going to use them.
yeah, because there are wheelchairs now available. Wheelchairs in quotes that are actually Caterpillar track layers.
Yeah,
They
there is.
they can go places you can't walk because the ground is too soft.
And while we might want to allow them on a trail, we wouldn't want to open it necessarily to all the mountain bikers.
Or ATV.
Yeah,
Or
I
ATVs
Yeah,
or-
I gave some thought to that. One is, the propulsion has to be quiet enough that you can easily carry on a conversation with the person using it. And two, the operator has to qualify for handicap permit.
So this is what's great about having these master planners. They brought in a specialist in ADA compliance.
Oh, good.
And,
Yeah.
and getting people access who are differently able to, making sure that you have an offering for them. So that I can definitely bring this editorial to their attention and we can discuss that.
Yeah,
And
I don't have an answer, but I think it's
Yeah.
something
it's
to
something to
consider.
be thinking about,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep. So, these are definitely those. So
Right,
stay
well-
tuned for that. And then I did want to let you know, and you could follow along with PPC to learn more about this, but we did finally, and I told Vicki about this earlier, we did finally, after so many years, we contracted with a group to do a comprehensive rewrite and reorganization of our zoning regulations. So while that sounds a little bit scary, right now, they're keeping the same regulations. But as I've been doing this job for 3 months, to read those regulations, it's like, oh my Lord, they need to be better. I mean, Linda literally, I think, knew she had them memorized. Like, so she could like go back and forth in section H-3. First of all, my brain is not many people have a steel trap brain like that one, but my brain does work that way. So we are reorganizing them. We're doing the legislative best practices because some of the items in our regulations are not, the case law does not, they're basically, they wouldn't be upheld in court. And then we're going to be looking, kind of developing these placeholders for like middle housing, right, area corridors, small single family zoning, more multifamily, looking at the multifamily, making sure we're getting what we want, which is a lot, transitional zoning, signage, things like that. So, and then we're moving them into an online platform, the e-code platform that we use for our ordinances. So
Is that contract being requested or already?
signed, executed, in process.
Yeah.
And this was supposed to be done by the people who did the plan of development.
Yeah.
And we just ran out of money and time, I guess.
Well, we ran it, it's been pretty
So I'm good, I'm glad it's getting.
moving forward.
Yeah,
That's all I have. So the next meeting, how do people feel about meeting like this hybrid or? Okay.
yeah.
I think
Let's ask Juliana and Amanda.
Miranda, yeah.
Miranda.
I mean, Miranda, this is great because you could be part of our meetings.
Yeah, especially when you have,
Well, I hope to be there in person next time. Just wasn't good
Yeah.
time in land.
but it gives an option for those that aren't filling up the snuff or have to worry about little ones.
Yes. Isn't it supposed to be a Tuesday?
Yeah, I noticed that the date for the
Did I?
16th is a Wednesday.
Oh, that's because I went to the Conservation Commission. Sorry.
No, so it should be the 15th.
Or
I
maybe
was
it
gonna
was-
say, I don't think I'm gonna be available.
15th.
Conservation Commission might be the 20th.
So we'll continue the hybrid.
Jen, did Sue mention to you about Merrill Meadow? Mowing schedule?
Oh,
We had talked about half of the Merrill Meadow
Did they
being
not?
mowed each
no,
year.
they don't know. I just didn't know whether they are gonna check in with
Yes,
With-
I have a
with-
calendar invite,
Okay.
that I did last year at this time when we were trying to figure out mowing. And I wrote it all down.
Mhm.
I attached to that calendar, invite, I believe, and gave it to Will.
We were just in the
It's
last.
just there in the
the-
northern area,
Yeah,
the
the end,
area closest to the parking lot has lots of little shrubs of trees. coming up.
woody stuff
Yeah.
coming up, so
So that would be
If
the
they're gonna-
preferred cut.
if they're gonna
Would you
mow
put that
half,
in email?
yeah, I
That
will
would
do
be
that,
great,
yeah.
All right.
Because we had talked about, gee, yeah, how we gonna, but it was real obvious that that end has got stuff that probably should be lopped off after the frost. Because the bees are still really, really active and
Yeah.
oh my goodness, there's so many
Yeah.
bees.
Great.
There's somewhere, there's gotta be like this massive bumblebee nest because. You know, it's just in there by the hundreds and
They're
hundreds
usually,
and
they're usually
hundreds.
solitary. But that'd be a good spot with
You
water.
know, the bumblebees are
Yeah.
big mass. We have the andrinas there that were
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
March.
solitary
I forget
stuff.
which andrina, but we figured it out and they're colonial, but they're solitary.
Yeah.
So there's nice little holes, maybe 5 inches apart.
Yeah.
You know.
I stuck my hand into a bumblebee nest once.
Oh, that must have been fun.
Ouch.
We had the wolf sheep that we sheared years before, just up in the barn,
Huh?
and I began fussing with it. And it was an awful buzzing noise.
You weren't the only one that was interested in it?
And I jumped, I suspect about 10 or 15 feet down into the hay mow and then floor and took off.
But they aren't as bad as some of the other ones. They won't chase, I mean, I've run into them before and they won't chase you, you know, you don't, you go, oh, stop. I mean, I had a friend that did research on bumblebees moving between Martha's Vineyard and all of the smaller islands.
Yeah.
And he got to the point where he was so comfortable with them that they marked them by painting a little colored dot on them.
Yeah.
And he would just scoop them up, hold them, paint their little dots, send them on their way, and he never got stung. I mean, they're just like, they basically are fairly
I
mellow
moved the
bees.
flower pot in their garden that was upside down and found the nest.
Are we ready to adjourn?
I can ask if anybody else.
Something
has-
digressed
if
about-
anybody else- well, actually, let's record.
Miss you.
I move.
I second.
Anybody opposed?
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So we can't have a question.